Okay, so I'm just going to add this to that really lengthy other piece. They happened to take their dog on Melbourne Cup Day to Perth with them. Now, I think it's getting pretty obvious what occurred. Why have they taken their guard dog to a Melbourne Cup function, for a start? And how did just suddenly that evening after I cooked dinner, turned off the oven, I'm smelling this smell. I look, I think, is the Teflon burning? Have I turned it off properly? Oh, yeah, fucking it's off properly. I'm like here, and like, it's off. I can smell this like plastic burning. I'm thinking the Teflon. Kids are in the next room out the door there of the kitchen. Well, it's a bit over. On a computer that I'd newly bought, a second-hand computer that day, and they hadn't had exposure to their own computer for a while, so they were on it for like a few hours. While I cooked dinner, they were just like bound to it as children would be out the back on a computer toy that they've got, and you know you can't rip them off, especially after them travelling in a van with only books for God knows how long. So here I am, I turn around and there's the door to the shop out the front, because it's shop, kitchen, house. Shop, kitchen, house. Neighbours, Harvey's about 2-3 metres away over there, out the window, kitchen window. Flames start leaping and roaring through there. I ran in like kids, there's a fire. I grab my phone, my little red phone. I'm out the door, the kids are there. I'm like, just get out of the house. Go get the dog. I think Laura goes to get the dog. I suddenly freeze when I'm on the phone because like I get on the phone and there was no answer or something. And on Triple O, I can't remember what happened. I froze and my son Sam took the initiative to run out yelling fire. Fire, fire, fire. I don't know, how old was he, like 13 or 14 or something? And he's running off yelling fire out the back. Turns out the fire brigade just over the back alleyway. There's like the back of the house and there's the yard and there's the caveat corner where the fire brigade obviously had a caveat so they could cut across because the alleyway went like that. Which I didn't know. If I'd have known it was for services, I wouldn't have cut their caveat off. I would have been totally considerate and let them keep it and just fenced off around it. I mean, I would have given them the whole back rectangular chunk for all I fucking cared. I mean, I'm not so fucking miserly as the Harveys were that they had to put in their low bid and they had to get a bargain on a place that cost next to nothing anyway. It's like, let's haggle over $1 property. So they were over the back having a function that night. It turns out Sam went and found them over at the bowling green just across the back alleyway at the back of my place. Well, funnily enough, Harveys are out of town at the Melbourne Cup. They've taken their dog with them. Their guard dog. I've upset them because I've had this other guy turn up and I think, I talked to him and he's like friends with the Aborigines. Maybe it was that, maybe not, I don't know. The week before, a couple of days before, the butchers from the other day next door came next to the other wool shop, and the butchers then came over and lit a bonfire out the back, sort of in the shed kind of, it was unfenced, so it was out the back of all the shops. And they said, could they light a fire out there and just burn off some old shit that was out there? And I was like, yeah, cool. I go out and they've got it all there, and there was like a number of men standing around smoking and having stubbies. They passed a joint round. I had a couple of tokes on it. So did the young guy, Harvey, the bloke about my age, Harvey, who I'd never met before, came over and had a toke and said about 2 words and then went back. Nothing to do with me. I gave them permission for whatever they normally do in the town. I'm a newcomer. I'm like, if that's what you do, do what you do. Nothing to do with me. So anyway, it's clear to me, Harveys are out of town, they've taken the dog. They're at the back, across the alleyway, fire brigade. Even though it was obvious fire, they didn't even respond until my son went over there really yelling fire, fire, fire for ages. Their fire brigade's only like a block down. Took them a fair while to get there, really, essentially. Let's think about it. It would take you 5 minutes to run there. I don't know. Maybe time went slowly for me. And, well, it went slow enough for me to run across the road in a frenzy across the highway, across Massingham Street to the local fucking pond and start thinking of grabbing the black hoses to try and drag the pumping hoses, irrigation, fountain hoses that were plastic polypipe to take over the road and try and resolve things in different ways. I certainly had time to start thinking about that because it seemed to be just burning and going. Then they turned up and they hosed down the Walsh shop and they hosed down the Harveys and didn't put a hose on mine until it was burned to the ground. During this process, someone turned up and they had a key and unlocked the absent Harvey's house when it got too close and licking at their place a bit, and went in to get their motorbikes, which belonged to their son. At this point, I ran over, left the kids, and tied my bottom of my skirt. I ripped off and made a leash for the dog. Kids are standing there. I go over. I'm running up and down the stairs, thinking, well, I'll help. It's my responsibility. It's my place. I can't let their shit burn. I'll fucking run up there and see what I can grab, photos, whatever looks valuable. So I grabbed their PC, computer, thinking, well, there's probably family photos or some shit on it, or in business stuff or whatever. And so I'm running off with that because I think Dawn did a business at home, I'm not sure. And I ran down the stairs with that and I ran back up again. By this stage, there's firemen coming up. As I'm going down the stairs, there was a great big window, crack, flames licking on it, crack, like great big window, flames licking on it, and it cracked. And I'm like, ooh, and the heat coming off it. So here I am, doing the right thing, actually being not the right, I don't know whether it's the right thing, maybe it was a dangerous, risky thing to do, but I'm going out of my way and risking my fucking life to help them, being a bit of a fire hero, rather than a culprit. And after that, I got persecuted as a fire starter everywhere I went. You know what? The next day, the Weasley little ratty fire brigade guy, I went down that night and bought smokes at the pub from our emergency accommodation because I was so stressed out and my daughter was awake all night in a state of trauma, wouldn't sleep. I was just so stressed I had to have a cigarette. Fuck. I wasn't much of a smoker, but fuck, I find in times of stress I don't mind a cigarette. So, and the fire brigade were down there in the pub and they were giving me the fucking evil eye, eyeballing me where I went. This is the night of my fucking house burning down. They're treating me like this. Call themselves heroes or whatever they're meant to be. And so I then, the next day, this guy comes from the bloody real estate hardware shop. He's a fireman. He was out the back. And he gives his sent recommendation from one of the council guys to give his recommendation on what to do. And he's like, well, it's going to cost you $5,000 or $6,000, $7,000 to clear away the rubble. Why don't you just give it to the Harveys because they're willing to pay for it, and you're not going to get the property's worth next to nothing. That maybe $1,000, and you're going to end up behind because you can't clean it all up. And I'm like, what the fuck? So he recommended I give it to the Harveys because they'd pay for the cleanup. This is the same guy they tried to buy it off, but I came and undercut them and snuck in and claimed it. Now you tell me, does it seem logical? And I left. Did I leave? No, about a month later or a week. I don't know how long I had all. Within a month, a house, another shop, the